Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Rockies Now podcast. This is episode number 102. I am one of your co-hosts, Tom, and joining me tonight is co-host Sarah. Sarah, how are you doing this evening?
I am wonderful. How are you?
Could be better, could be worse. It's getting in Chicago, as I mentioned in last week's episode. It was quite a freezing cold weekend this past weekend here in Chicago. It's getting warmer. Obviously, of course, the weather in Denver was uncooperative this weekend and caused issues for some player travel. We'll get into that a little bit. But we're going to just dive into it right now and talk about what the big news was this past weekend before we get into the busy week that the Rockies have had in terms of moves and changes. But FanFest was this past weekend. There was, of course, let's talk about the big first announcements. There's going to be not one, but two statue unveilings this season at the ballpark. Larry Walker and Todd Helton will be getting statues outside of Coors Field. Let me just double check or close. Actually, I did not. Actually, I did close the article. Bear with me for just a second. It will be, Larry Walker statue will be unveiled first. That'll be at the August 23rd game at Coors Field, and Todd Helton's will be September 19th. Sarah, it's, as I posted on X, it's a well-earned honor for these two Hall of Famers, and it should be hopefully weather cooperative, an exciting day for them and Rockies fans. So you were there, Rockies Fest. What was the announcement like?
They did it. Well, Todd was supposed to have been there. Todd ended up being sick the day of. So when they did the alumni Q&A, and it was supposed to have just been Todd and Larry, and Todd ended up not being there, but Larry was there for the announcement. We were actually in line for our autograph session at the time, but they did have it broadcasting throughout the stadium. They had screens that we were able to watch that on. I think it's a really cool thing. They mentioned, they talked a little bit about how other teams have, their rings of honor and things of that nature, and stuff like the Yankees that they have up there. Their deal, they're kind of wanting to do something a little bit like that with these statues and build something really cool. I'm excited to see what it's going to look like. Larry talked about what it was like to have to pose for a statue a little bit. It was a pretty funny conversation, but really everybody got real quiet when they announced it. It was pretty cool. It was a kind of highlight of the day. So.
Well, that's for sure, because, of course, as we know, if you look over in its right field, yes, their numbers are already retired by the organization.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, what better, again, Rockies don't have, as you mentioned, a Ring of Honor or a Team Hall of Fame, quote unquote. So I guess one way to enshrine them in our history is a lot of teams do this, with statues in and out of the ballpark. At right field for the White Sox, there are several statues, not outside, but inside the ballpark. And of course, if you go to the United Center, you see the statue of the great one, Michael Jordan. So again, this is a great honor for both of them. And the question is, I always often think when you build because you see statues that have like a pose, like for example, the Frank Thomas statue at right field, he's doing his iconic swing. Or, Carlton Fisk, who was a catcher, standing there just in a pose in his catcher's gear. So I'm just wondering, it would be interesting to see what the statues look like. Are they, so we'll have to wait and see. So there are, I'm sure there'll be fine ones, because there have been a couple of bad ones. I'm not going to mention specifics, but okay, I will. The Dwayne Wade statue, that's in Miami. That's a little, it's kind of strange looking. That's just my personal opinion, but I'm sure the statues will look just fine for Larry and Todd. So
yeah, I really love at Petco the Tony Gwynn and the Trevor Hoffman statues. Those are great. They both look really good, and I like their placement. They're both, one of them is kind of out in, what do they call that?
The alley, you mean?
The little park that's right behind. I can't even think of what it's called right now.
Mm-hmm.
It was right there 5 seconds ago. But one of them is kind of out behind left center, and then the other one is over towards left field. But it's a really cool. The Padres have it set up really cool in there with their little Hall of Fame and stuff. And I can't wait for the Rockies to have something like that. At FanFest, they did have a really cool kind of Rockies museum of sorts that they had up. A lot of really cool stuff in there. You got to see really the history of the team. They even had the starting lineups posted from the 2021 All-Star game. So it was pretty cool to see that kind of thing there in Coors Field. And I hope they're able to do something more permanent with that as well.
I just saw. It just popped into my head. Of course, for those who don't know, there may be some who don't know. Larry Walker is in fact Canadian, and of course, the first team he played for in the majors was the Montreal Expos. Somebody commented on X: will they build a statue outside Olympia Stadium for him? I don't think that's going to happen, considering that stadium is not just the team is no longer up there, but the ballpark is basically unusable at this point. So I have seen they've used it for conventions, but do you remember if they announced where outside the ballpark they're going to be putting them?
I know they were kind of talking about it, but like I said, we were standing in an area that was a little bit more, it was a little busier where we were at right at the time. So it's kind of hard to hear everything that they were saying about it. Wild does say over here, a small replica is going to be given away at each unveiling game. I didn't hear that part, so I am glad he caught that.
Thank you. Wow, that would be awesome. It'd be, I was thinking if they gave like away a bobblehead on that day, but I'm sure they've done in the past, but a replica, that would be even awesome. I'm sure that's a good giveaway. So again, I don't think I'll be able to make either of those games. Maybe I'll plan a last second trip to try and snag me one of those as a giveaway gift, but I don't know. But again,
I think we were already planning on being at that September 19th game, but I'm definitely adding the August 23rd game in as well.
It would be cool if, because again, Rockies, the capacity of Coors Field is around just south of 50,000, if I remember correctly. It would be kind of cool if they made like about 40,000, so almost everybody gets one. But again, that's wishful thinking here. Either way,
non-bobbling bobbles.
Yeah, so thank you, Wild, for confirming that. And Luke, of course, yes, cheers to you as well. Thank you for joining us. So again, one thing we encourage everybody to do is while we're doing this here live, feel free to jump in on the chat. We'll try and get as many comments or questions that you guys may have as we talk about this. Again, we are now talking about Rockies Fan Fest, which was this past weekend. Sarah was there. I was not. Again, just a reminder to those who don't know, I live in Chicago, so I could not at this moment make the trip out to Denver to enjoy the fun. But someday, yes, I will. Don't worry. Someday I'll plan that trip around and you guys can come and see me as well. So, but again, Sarah, do you want to share any special? I know you in the pre-show meeting you shared a couple of stories. You saw a couple of players in the hotel lobby. Do you want to share a couple of fun stories that of what happened?
Well, we stayed at the rally, which was really, really cool. I did not even think for a half a second that the team would be staying there. I don't know why that never even occurred to me, but we had gone out, of course, in McGregor Square. They have ice skating and stuff like that. So I'd taken my kids out to do some of that stuff. We came back in and Ubaldo Jimenez was standing in the lobby talking to some people. Went up to our room for a little bit, came back down to see who else would show up, ended up on the elevator with Juan Mejia. So that was pretty cool. Everybody was just kind of coming and going. My kids got to meet Ryan Ritter. We did see Larry when he got to the hotel. So just really cool to kind of see everybody in there. All the Isotopes guys, the Hartford Yard Goats representatives were in there as well. So just kind of mingling around with everybody. But overall, really cool experience. We did some of the more kind of fun stuff. I knew everybody would be kind of packing into those Q&As. We went to the player versus player challenges and ended up at the kids Q&A at the end of the day, which was actually really, really cool. Spilly was in there, Jordan Beck, Ryan Ritter, Tanner Gordon, and of course Warren Schaefer was in there as well. The kids actually asked some really good questions. Of course, there were some more kid-centered questions like waffles or pancakes. Warren is neither, for anybody that's wondering. He is a bacon guy. Ryan Ritter's more French toast. Everybody else chose pancakes. So, okay. But it's cool stuff to see. We did get to see the Family Feud that we went to. Jake McCarthy and Michael Lorenzen were in there. So cool to see the new guys. Everybody was just kind of roaming around. We were catching people in some pretty random places. Kind of my highlight, though, was we went to go take our picture with Hunter Goodman's Silver Slugger, and he was in the room at the time. So we got to meet Hunter and take a picture with him, and that was a good time there. Logan says he met Victor Vodnik and said he's adding a new pitch to his mix this year. He did tell me that same thing, Logan. We did catch Victor out signing autographs at one point in time.
What was the pitch? I didn't catch what he said. For Vodnik. What was the pitch? Did he say what pitch it was?
Logan, what did he say? Because my son was kind of asking him some random questions and it kind of got rushed a little bit. I let my kids do a little bit more of the talking than I did because it was kind of cool it was a cool thing for them to get to interact with the guys like that.
Wild here mentions, of course, Jordan Beck, I guess, is changing. I did not see this announcement. Jordan Beck is changing his number.
He's not actually. He's not. This was in the kids' Q&A. Somebody asked if you could change your number, what would it be? And so Beck busted out a little 6'7" joke, which my son is in the video, absolutely loving that the Rockies posted. But it was a really good time. And speaking of changing numbers, Warren Schaefer is no longer number 34. He has taken Michael Tolia's number.
29.
And he is now number 4. He said, I know this is number 29 back here. This was from the previous time that he was called up. But Tolia had number 4 last year for the last 2 seasons with us. Warren Schaefer is now number 4.
Gotcha. Good to know. Did he say he didn't give a reason that's his favorite number? Because or is it just
nobody asked him about it? When they were asking about changing numbers, the players really kind of got more in on it. Warren really talked a little bit more about the leadership aspect and what it was like. I really enjoyed some of the stories that the guys were telling the kids. Someone asked, what was your favorite moment or favorite play that you've ever been involved in? And I think the coolest thing for me was that everybody's favorite moment was somebody else's big moment. It was really cool to see that because it showed how much these guys as a team really support each other. Spilly told the story about Todd Helton's walk-off and how that was probably one of his favorite moments. And it was a moment he felt like Todd really began to feel like he was part of this team. But it was cool to hear some of those stories and to really kind of see a little bit different perspective of how these guys have supported each other, especially with how difficult last year was for them. That was something I did hear Hunter talk about in the players' Q&A, was how this is just not acceptable. But rather than trying to forget last season, they're using it to really kind of light a fire under them that this is not something they can let happen again.
Well, it's understandable because I know last year's results obviously are not ideal. And they want to move forward because it's, again, a new coaching staff, new regime, new manager, new front office, especially. So they're trying to, I don't want to keep beating the drum here on this, but, turn the page to a new chapter, et cetera, and just try and find what's in the past, learn from it and move forward. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Logan here puts, someone cut me up, but I think this is, again, Victor Vodnik. I think he was maybe saying a slider, but I'm not sure. I'm sure we'll hear it at spring training. He is going to be there. He's on the roster, and he will be part of the bullpen. He's going to be one of the high leverage relievers, so we'll have to wait and see what he does say. But again, Vodnik is going to be one of those guys we're going to look to in high leverage. I don't know if I don't think he's going to be the closer, but he is going to be a guy who to called upon maybe if needed in a situation like that, where if they pick a closer, not going to be available. Here's Luke says, Ubaldo has such a mad aura and Jaden Hill looks like a football player.
Jaden Hill really does, because he was there. We did see him in the lobby at one point in time when we were down there. He was standing at the front desk. I was telling you earlier, I kind of took a little bit more of a hands-off approach. I didn't want to bother the guys while they were getting checked in and trying to get settled and things like that. But we did talk to a few people as they were just kind of roaming around. But yeah, Jaden Hill is a big dude.
Well, I just had to double check this because I forgot how big he was. Maybe it's just, again, TV. They don't seem as big. I didn't realize he was 234 pounds. He's 6'4", 234.
Oh, yeah.
And he's from Ashdown, Arkansas. And, of course, he went to LSU football school. So there you go.
Yeah.
The one thing about him is we posted a happy birthday post for him on Rockies Now. I don't know if everybody saw this, but he has a pretty cool looking glove. He has the glove with the Joker's fit with Heath Ledger's Joker face on the webbing. So that's actually pretty cool. So Jaden, if you watch this or hear this, thumbs up. I like the glove. Good choice of design. So Ubaldo, yeah, I mean, when it comes to him, he has the only no-hitter in franchise history, arguably one of the two. I mean, people go back and forth between 2010 him or 2018 Kyle Freeland. I think you can pick whichever one. Those are arguably the number 1 and 2 in Rockies history in terms of best seasons by a starting pitcher. So, I mean, no one can debate that.
Yeah.
Let me see. Oh, we got one from Luke. I don't know if you saw this one, Sarah. Luke asked, did you make it to the 9 a.m. to the first 9 a.m. conference? Walker, Paul, Josh are greeting fans right at the top of the escalator. Did you see that one?
I did not make it to that one because we had the tickets that got you in a little bit later. I didn't try to push in too early on that. So I did not make it to the 9 a.m. conference. Next year we are going to go with the earlier tickets. They're supposed to be for season ticket holders. If anybody knows how hard they check that, let me know, because that was why we didn't get them. But I would have loved to have been in there a little earlier. We did go to the garage sale, as you can see behind me, my new additions to the wall. But by the time we got there, because my goal was really to kind of turn this whole wall into these, but by the time we got in there and were able to find them, everything had kind of been picked over. So we're planning on going a little earlier next year than we did this year.
Yeah, I know I still haven't much decorated most of my office, but there'll be more in this wall. I'm going to probably move that AC/DC poster. And of course, this wall over here is going to be more stuff. So I still have to decorate my room. I painted it not too long ago, so I have to kind of add shelvings and everything. So my wall will appear more aesthetically pleasing to sports fans in the future. Anyway, what was it? There were, of course, just real quickly mentioned, we talked about in the pre-show meeting, there were, due to weather, there were a couple of guys who could make it. Charlie, unfortunately, was one of those. And there was one more, I think you mentioned. Who was that again? I'm sorry.
Brenton Doyle did not make it either.
That's right.
Yeah. A little disappointing, because those were two that we really wanted a chance to get to talk to, especially me. I was so excited that I was finally, the weather held out for me to make it up there so I could finally see Charlie. But unfortunately, the weather did not hold up where Charlie was at for him to make it. So,
well, the thing about Charlie is when you look at him, you figure he's got that mountain man aesthetic or attitude about him. So he's you would think, or it'd be kind of, if I could see him, if like he had the time, instead of getting on a plane, he'd jump in his truck and hightail it to Denver, and he pulling in with his, what was that truck the Rockies gave? I think it was a Toyota.
It was a
Toyota Tundra?
Yes, but he did give it back.
Oh, he did.
It is up. It is back up, because it was sitting up by the scoreboard up at the top of the stadium, and they took it down and gave it to him. It is back up there now.
But I think
so
also
technically it's Charlie's truck, but it's still sitting in Denver.
I know for a fact, because he lives in Georgia full time. He went to Georgia Tech. He lives there full time. I know this because former White Sox pitcher Dylan Cease is from and lives also off season in Georgia as well. They used to train at the same facility. I can't remember the name of the facility, but I remember there was a video with Dylan Cease, and he says, "Hey guys, it's Charlie Blackmon, the car." And Charlie's got what looks to be a big. I couldn't remember the brand, the make and model, but it was a big white truck that I think might have been another Tundra that he does own. So I guess maybe he didn't want a second one.
Yeah, and he also, and I don't blame him for not going, because it did get pretty nasty down there in Georgia, and he's got wife and kids at home. Better for him to be with his family while all that's going on. So. No hard feelings that Charlie wasn't there. It was a completely understandable situation. We'll try again next year. But overall, I mean, great experience. If you are in a position where you can get to Denver in late January, which I know can be kind of sketchy at times, it's a really cool thing to get to go to. I mean, you've got access to literally everything in that ballpark. You've got access to the visiting clubhouse, the players clubhouse. That was something that was really cool to get to go in there. Kyle Freeland still had his locker completely set up, all of his uniforms, all of his shoes, all of his bobbleheads, everything was still set up in there. So just really cool to get to see all of that stuff. And I mean, their locker rooms, you got to go in the video room. They had all the computers up where you could actually see what the film looks like. We sat down at one that somebody had pulled a bunch of Charlie's film up on, so you could just sit there and watch hit after hit after hit, and it was a little touch of nostalgia there, getting to watch Charlie do his thing again. But it was overall just really cool.
You reminded me of a story real quick about having Charlie, seeing videos of Charlie's hits years ago. I can't remember what broadcast I was watching, but it was a Rockies game. I can't remember the station or the network it was on. It might have been Fox. One of the play-by-play guys said, Todd Helton, on his computer, on his hard drive, he had saved video clips of every single hit he has had in his career.
Yeah.
So if you need footage of his hits to do a compilation video, just call Todd directly. But no, it's no, that's, and real quick, also we got another comment here from Luke. The pitch science demonstration down in the clubhouse batting cages, Moniak Feltner was there. It was great to see, of course. Anytime,
so
because real quick, just with the technological advances, any demonstration like that, whether it's from the pitcher's perspective or from the hitter's perspective, because there's new programs called Hitter's Eye where you can see the release point of a pitcher on that given day, and you can work off that. It is actually pretty impressive. So I don't know if you got to see that as well.
That actually, Luke, I was down there for that same demonstration. We were actually on the outside looking down at them through the windows. This is what I was telling you earlier, Tom, where I was looking for Mickey in there and I didn't recognize him because he buzzed all his hair off, and saw him a little bit later. But yeah, that was really cool. We couldn't really hear what was going on in there, but just watching some of what was happening was pretty cool to see. And Wild says this is the first time they gave access to the grounds crew area. That was pretty cool too, getting to go in there and see all of that stuff.
It's interesting. Recently, some teams through their official YouTube channels are putting out content like that, where they're showing you, for example, the Mets had a camera crew follow their clubhouse staff during spring training, what they do, how they set things up, and then what travel day is like on a getaway day, like on a Sunday or a midweek game. Also, I think, who was this? Oh, I recently saw a video from the end of the season on the Nationals YouTube channel where they meet the grounds crew. I think it's 4 or 5 people, and how they do setup when they get there in the morning. They mow the grounds and do the chalk lines, install the pitching rubbers, etc., and all the bases and stuff. It's actually really cool to watch. So, but to see it with your own 2 eyes and get a tour of it, that's actually pretty cool too.
Yeah.
So definitely quite an experience. Awesome. So anyway, I guess we'll wrap up that segment and segue into the Rockies. Had quite a busy week. We will start, of course, as we all know, Willie Castro, the free agent signing was made official, so it's an official thing, and he is going to be playing for Team Puerto Rico in the WBC. That was announced either yesterday or 2 days ago, I believe.
Yeah.
And Garrett Acton, he officially was designated for assignment because we had to make an extra roster spot on the 40-man roster available for a trade that we did with the Minnesota Twins. We sent Jace sorry if I butcher his name, Kaminska, I'm sorry if that's how you say it, to the Minnesota Twins for second baseman Eduardo Julian and Pearson Ole, who is a right-handed pitcher. Again, just a couple of background on both guys. Ole, he made his debut last year toward the end of the season for the Twins. He only pitched in 14 games, but he is, going to be on the 40-man. He will compete probably for a spot in our bullpen. He threw 30 innings in those 14 games. And Julian, sorry again if I mispronounced his first name, he has been in the big league since 2023. The last 2 years, he has had a bit of a down year offensively. But 2023, he played in 109 games, had a 2.6 WAR, knocked off with 16 home runs, 37 RBIs, and he had a slash line of 263, 381, and 459. So well above league average. So again, and just to confirm one more thing, just make sure I get it right. Yeah, he does bat left-handed. I just want to make sure. So he does play first and second base. I see him competing more on the first base side of it, even though he is kind of short for a first baseman. He's only 6 feet tall. I don't know. So it's interesting that he does play second base. Let me just double check what his primary. Oh, okay. Never mind. He's only played 31 games at first base in the majors and 190 games at second base. So it looks like just like I thought with his height, he's going to be competing for time, probably for reps at second base. I like this trade. Specifically, it adds another arm to our pitching mix, and also it adds another option that we can use to figure out what our potential lineup is over the next couple of years. What are your thoughts?
I think it's a good pickup. I've talked to a couple of Twins fans. They were pretty bummed to see those guys leave. They were very optimistic about them. So I like the pickup for them or for us.
Mhm.
As far as adding these two guys, I think it's I think it kind of shows again that spirit of people are going to be competing for positions
Mhm.
on this team this year. And so I like that it adds a little bit more to that, a little more depth. I think it's a good trade.
I'm just trying to pull up the current depth chart. Okay, so I don't. Let me see if he's been added. Okay, they haven't added Julian. Sorry if I mispronounce, if he sees this and I mispronounce his name. If it's Julian or Julian, I'm sorry.
Luke says it's a French name and pronunciation.
Okay, so there we go. He has not been added to the official depth chart on the Rockies website. Ryan Ritter is listed as the current starting second baseman. Again, this is just all. This is what the team puts out. Is what they think internally they're going to have at the moment. This doesn't mean it's going to be like on opening day. Um, I also got to make this mention. I think it's good that we add a lefty to the mix because here's something to think about. Both our catchers, Goodman and Fulford, are righties. Blake
Mhm.
Krim is a righty. Ritter, Freeman, righties. Castro is a switch hitter. Tovar is a righty. Karras is a righty. So I
Doyle.
think this is good in terms of balancing out our lineup because I think it's because what I've learned again, maybe people, the novice fan might look at me and think, "What are you talking about?" You do need a good mixture of lefties and righties, and
Hmm.
I think this trade does help provide balance to even if you go to the outfield where there's a couple more lefties, a right-handed heavy lineup. Because if you go to the outfield, you do have Veen, who knows if he's going to make the opening day roster, and then Moniak is a lefty. So I think this helps balance out our lineup quite a bit.
Jake McCarthy's a lefty too, isn't he?
I believe so. Yes, yes.
And I
But
think that also kind of leads into the DFA of Yanquiel Fernandez,
mhm,
because he is a left-handed bat as well. But I did see earlier today the DNVR guys talked to Paul DePodesta, and
mhm.
he did mention that the depth in the outfield and the left-handed bats that have been added kind of played in part to that because Yanquiel just hasn't panned out yet.
I agree. And again, for reiteration to people, DFA does not mean he's been cut and released and he's a free agent. He has a certain period of time to either get claimed by another team for the current contract that he's on, or if not, he has two options when you reach the end. He can either accept an outright assignment down to AAA Albuquerque, or he can choose to become a free agent, and in which case he's free to sign with whatever team he wants.
Mhm.
So we'll have to wait and see. I don't know. I mean, somebody could snag him. He does have one minor league, as you and I looked in the pre-show. He has one minor league option left. But if a team is going to acquire him, they're not going off a lot of major league track record. They're going purely based off his minor league track record. So it
Yeah,
depends.
and I think he could be a good pickup for somebody. I don't know. I mean, you saw what happened with Warming Bernabel. He decided not to accept the AAA assignment,
Mhm.
and he is now with the Nationals. I could definitely see Fernandez kind of going the same route. I
Mhm.
don't know. Somebody might not want to pick him up for his current contract, but I can definitely see him landing somewhere.
He could. I mean, as you alluded to, with us picking up McCarthy, and we do have we do have a big considerable amount of outfield depth, not just with projected who's going to play, whether it's Freeman, Moniak, Beck, Doyle, McCarthy. You have Zach Veen. Again, this new front office I know is evaluating him. I think he's one of the prospects they're evaluating very closely because they want to see I think he's one of the guys they want to work out. The only question is, what do they need to change? What do they need to have him adjust? And can he do it? I think they're going to wait him out. And again, if there's a spot in the outfield that needs to be filled, I think he's first. That my opinion. I think he's first man up.
Well, and didn't they select Sterling Thompson's contract?
Uh,
Where
he
is,
he is on the 40-man roster. Yes.
yeah. So that's another option. In the
Yeah.
in the event that a hole needs to be filled there, I really think probably Sterling gets a call before Zach does,
Mm.
just because of his inability to produce while he was up last year. I don't know, and he really didn't. I know he was hurt part of the season, but just kind of following what was happening in Albuquerque, you just didn't see a whole lot out of him
Mhm.
last season after he got sent back down. The
Mm,
injury did, of course, play some role in that, but
mm,
um, Sterling got pretty hot down there, and he was getting a lot of playing time. Of course, Sean Bouchard was taking a lot of playing time in the outfield, and then Zach. And once Yankiel got called up, then Zach was getting some more playing time, but just didn't see a whole lot of production out of him in the last half of that season.
mm.
So I don't know. It's hard to say what their plan is. They've got to wait him out at this point and hope something picks back up.
Mm.
It'll just be kind of a watch and see what's gonna happen thing with him.
That's kind of how it is, I think, because again, with a new up front office, I feel you always have not a wait and see. To piggyback off your wait and see analogy, I think you also have a wait and see, and then also I think each prospect is going to have a certain amount of rope in which they're going to be allowed, or a certain amount of time frame in which they're going to say,
Mhm,
okay, what do you got? Some are going to be shorter time. They're going to have shorter patience with. Some are going to have a little more extended patience. But it's like, come on, we need to figure out what we're. But then again, they're not going to wait forever because they want to try and turn this as quick as possible.
mhm.
Because again, not from what their bosses are saying, but from there could also be tension or pressure from us because we're going to eventually say at some point, WTF, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So but I do agree with you. And, whether it's Zach Bean or Sterling Thompson, and even after those guys, there's more depth behind it. I think, there's going to be pressure and there's no shortage of options in the outfield. And again, another one, Troy Johnston. That's another, he's also on the 40-man
Mhm.
roster. That's another lefty.
Yeah.
So, um, okay, we're just going to catch up on the comments here just real quick. Luke says, watching last year, we knew the Rocks were lacking major league talent, but it sucks to see names go that haven't been watching and waiting to go and let go. Well, unfortunately, Luke, as we know, there's a lot of turnover on major league rosters, whether it's in season or off season.
Mhm.
How do I say this? It's rare that, especially in a rebuild mode, that teams are the same throughout. They're going to try. It's always next man up, next man up. Let's go, let's go. Because, like I said, you know, if you want to turn into, and especially in a division that's ruled by the Dodgers, you can't just sit around and wait forever.
Mhm. And I think, Luke, kind of to agree with you to an extent, there's a lot of guys that I feel I've got a lot of what ifs with some of these guys that
Mm,
are gone now. What could have happened with this new coaching staff? I would love to have seen, of course, Tolia, I would love to have seen what new hitting coaches could have done with him.
mm,
Because defensively, I think he's a great first baseman. But
mhm.
um, whatever happened to him last season offensively, I would have loved to have seen these new coaches get their hands on him and see what they could do. But unfortunately, it's just always going to be a what if. He's going to get his chance in Cincinnati. These other guys are getting picked up with other teams, and we'll see what happens to them there. If they have a lot of success, it's really going to be kind of oh man, we could have had that happening here. But um, it does suck, but that's the nature of the beast with a turnover such as this. So
Yeah, looking at, of course, I just had to refresh myself on the first base depth chart. You got Spencer Steer and Stahl Stewart ahead of him. So, not to say that's going to prohibit him from getting potential major league time, but we'll see. I mean, and again, I do agree with you. He was a very under. I don't want to say underappreciated, but just under. I don't feel he got enough attention or enough praise for what he did at first base because he saved a
mhm.
lot of balls in the ground or
Oh
balls that could
yeah.
have sailed over anyone's head. Let's not forget in St. Louis, he had quite a catch in right field.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of talent in a lot of different positions. I'm hoping I think if he can turn that bat around, that he will get some major league time in Cincinnati. I think he can fight his way back up there if he can get the offensive side figured out again. There just wouldn't be any reason not to give him that shot. But I mean, we just have to see.
Yeah, again, you know, it is cool that you found that rare 29 jersey because like you might remind us all number 4 was his primary number, But again, you got quite a find back there and behind you there. So
This one is actually it's my daughter's. It was her Christmas present. It is signed and it has the date of his first major league
oh,
home run on it. So
really? Cool.
it was a pretty cool find. We're kind of redoing some things in her room right now, so that's why it's in here, but it'll be up on the wall in her room once we get that done, because she's a big fan of Mike. So, and that was the one thing we were happy about, seeing Warren take Mike's number. If anybody's going to have it, we're happy that it's Warren. But that's just us being sappy and attached to Mike. So,
well, I mean, it's just like when he had the breakout, I thought there was a considerable chance he would stick for them at first base, but again,
the fall off this season is what killed him.
It's like, I mean, he didn't have any major concerns when it comes to injury, but like I always say, when you make your official sophomore season, that can be be a pretty good outlier as far as what a player's future is going to be with that team.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, it's another bummer, but I do wish him the best of luck as far as that goes. Just catch up on a comment here. Uncle Ted, Pablo Lopez, I think he's staying put in Minnesota at the moment. I don't know if they're planning on loading him just yet. I believe he has 2 more years of team control, if memory serves me correctly. But I don't think they're going to get rid of him. This would be nice. Framber Valdez. Sorry, I don't think the Rockies are going to spend the amount of money that he's asking. Not just the money, but the amount of years. I think he's looking for a 5-year deal. Again, he is a ground ball pitcher with his changeup and that big overhand swooping curveball, which can be a nightmare because he's very consistent with his release point on it, with his similar to his fastball. Sorry, I don't think. Again, we can dream, but I don't think it's going to happen. So
I think a lot of what's going on with Framber not getting picked up, not only the number of years he wants on that deal, there's been a lot of talk about his clubhouse presence, which people want to say, go get him, which is the same thing. You see people out there preaching, go get Trevor Bauer, bring him back, all this other stuff. That's a really important. People don't talk enough about how important clubhouse chemistry is. If you got somebody in there that's making everybody miserable, that is not a good, especially not in a club that is trying to rebuild and recover from something like what happened last year. You've got to have some guys that are going to mesh well together. And right now, these guys are really, like I said earlier, it was really cool to listen to them all talk about supporting each other through what happened, and about their relationships with each other, and how they really kind of use that to bring them all closer together. And you could see that on the team last year. And it really kind of shows in how they interact with everybody, how they are with each other, how they are with the fans. I think this is a group that's just really grateful that people have stuck with them throughout what happened, especially over these last few seasons. But it's really important. I preach that all the time. You got to have good chemistry in the clubhouse.
And just to say Luke's comment here, do you think the viral again? For those of you who don't know, there was an incident last season with I can't remember the name of the catcher, but there was a miscommunication. He called one thing, there was a cross up, and he told him step back. Framber then on that same pitch gave up a home run. There was a whole argument in the clubhouse after. Joe Espada spoke briefly about it, the manager of the Houston Astros. And yeah, to your point, Sarah, having a good atmosphere for this young of a team is going to be important. And the manager does not. Again, you're always going to, again, I'll give you one of the guys, a prolific example of recent history, Yasiel Puig. That guy was a headache. I mean, people saw him as something being the goofy, just jokester in the dugout, but behind closed doors, he was a problem. And I don't know if anybody remember this incident when Mark McGwire was the Dodger hitting coach. He was standing in the dugout, like sternly saying something to him. And Puig was just just shoving him off, like, you don't know anything. What you're talking about? You're talking to Mark McGwire here. Again, even though he did do what he did with the steroids, he still was a fantastic hitter and he knows what he's talking about. So to be that dismissive of a coach, regardless of reputation, but with the pedigree of Mark McGwire or even Don Mattingly, who I believe was the manager for most of his time in LA, when you have a problem, unless you have Veterans like, I'll show another example. Jazz Chisholm entering the Yankee clubhouse, Stanton, Judge, those guys aren't going to put up with any nonsense. So we
No.
don't have guys like that in the clubhouse who can say, listen, don't do that. If you do that, well, you're going to have a problem, and, kind of hold them in line. But we don't have that right now. So again, to wrap up my point, we don't want to invite a problem like that with a young team.
Yeah. And I think another side to that as well is your veteran presence in the clubhouse right now is Kyle Freeland. And that's an emotional guy. I love Kyle Freeland and I love his intensity, but I think that kind of personality, especially, with what Luke brought up here with the issue with the catcher and everything else, I think that could potentially lead to a very explosive situation in the clubhouse if those two were to not get off on the right foot with each other or to have any kind of issues like that. I don't think Kyle would sit by for it at all.
No. And Uncle Ted, yes, they did pay Bryant, but again, when they signed him part of the 2020 season, the Rockies were in a different place. They weren't rebuilding. They were trying to compete a little bit better. They were trying to add some integrity to their lineup. So the Rockies were in a different place at that moment in time. Right now, this team is trying to establish its identity and try and figure out who on the roster now and in the minor league system could be seen as an ideal part of the future. And as much as we'd like to add a veteran like Framber Valdez or like a Zach Gallen who's still out there, as much as we like to, again, Zach Gallen, as I learned today, did not accept the qualifying offer, so that could cost us a draft pick, which we do not want to necessarily maybe get rid of at this point. Again, and also, you just made a funny thing, Sarah. Maybe Kyle Freeland and Framber would have a contest to see who starts opening day. And I could see Kyle Freeland even saying, okay, let's play a little shoot on goals at a hockey net, or let's play a game of horse and basketball. And I think Kyle Freeland wins that easily.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I thought it was kind of funny at one of the Q&As, Kyle was in there and everybody else was in their jerseys and stuff. And Kyle did put his on a little bit later, but I don't know if he got to the stadium late or what happened, but he was in like this big fuzzy black and green jacket with a t-shirt underneath it. And I was like, what are we doing here, buddy? Like, looked like he kind of rolled out of bed and showed up. But it was kind of funny.
Was it it wasn't like what do you call it, one of those City Connect green jackets? It was just
it was that color, but no, it was not one of those.
I think because if that was the case, I would have said two things. A, I never knew that kind of a jacket was made by Nike. Or B, if he had that custom made, I'd like to know where he got that done.
Right. It was a cool jacket. I thought he looked great. I'm not like talking crap on what Kyle Freeland looked like at that Q&A, but it was just really funny to see him it really looked like he had just gotten there.
Well, the one thing I'll say, I have some, for those who don't know, I have a tattoo on my arm here. So I think Kyle Freeland has some awesome tattoos. And even though I'm not a fan of the particular make and model, he does have a sweet BMW. So,
yeah.
Anyway, so why don't we segment over from one trade? So now let's segue into the second trade of the week that happened. And that was, of course, Angel, one of the most unique last names, Angel Chivili, was traded to the New York Yankees for their number 22 ranked prospect, TJ Rumfield. Again, I think this is a very good trade because for a couple reasons. One, Angel, again, I can say this is a double-edged side. This key says a double-edged sword or a catch-22 because it's tough to pitch at altitude, and not everybody can play in New York. So, Chivili obviously was struggling when it came to pitching at altitude. So he's going to get a fresh start in a tough environment like the Bronx. So I wish him the best with that one. Not knocking on anything when it comes to pitching in the Bronx or in New York, but it's not exactly easy. So he'll get a fresh start. And then Rumfield, this is huge because not only is he one of their top 30 prospects that we got for a struggling reliever, but he is a first baseman. We need first baseman. And this, I think, works out well for both because the Yankees get a reclamation project that they can maybe turn into an effective reliever, and we can fill a position that we desperately need depth at. What are your thoughts, Sarah?
I like it. I agree. He just he couldn't ever quite get it together at Coors Field, which it's kind of funny because, like Jake Bird was lights out for the Rockies right before that trade to New York, and we ended up absolutely winning that one because he ended up getting cut within what, like 3 weeks? He
It
got
might,
DFA'd.
yeah. I think he. No, wait. Did he? I think he did officially accept a minor league assignment to their AAA affiliate. I think that's still in. Yeah, that's in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Office reference. Anyway. But yeah, I think it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks. It was something like that.
Yeah.
He just
No
right out of the
time
gate.
at all.
Well, again, when the Yankees weren't screwing around last year. I mean, they had playoff aspirations. So
Mhm. Yeah, and so that he didn't, there was no time for him to get it together or, to make that adjustment at all. But uh, I think Shivi has a chance to turn it around there. It just he's another one of those guys that just wasn't working here,
mm,
and it. I don't know. It's just I agree with you completely. I think it's a great pickup for us in that, first base is a huge question mark right now. Seeing what's going to happen there, no clue right now. I know Steven mentioned something about maybe Paul Goldschmidt
mm,
for this year. I still I don't like that idea really, but I do like the additional depth,
mm,
something we absolutely have to have.
mm.
Um, but hopefully, and again, another one that we're saying best of luck to you, well wishes to Angel. Let's just see how it goes for him. We'll be keeping
I,
I plan on keeping an eye on every single one of these guys and seeing what happens. So we'll see.
especially if they end up making like the all-star team in a year or two.
Oh God. Yeah.
Hey, and look to not dispel anybody, that does happen. So, not every player works out with every organization. I'll give you a White Sox example. Andrew Vaughn was atrocious with us 2 years ago. Last year, we sent him to Milwaukee. Change of scenery does help. I mean,
Yeah.
it may work in a way you don't like, but that's just how it goes sometimes. I mean, who knows? Maybe a guy who wasn't working on the team we acquire will just work out. It works both ways. Some trades work out for the better, some work out for the not so good. So
Yeah. And I mean, Atlanta is notorious for taking Rockies pitchers and turning them into gems. Like Pierce Johnson is one that did great in Atlanta. He is not with the Braves anymore, but look at
mhm.
Tyler Kinley. Every time
Yeah,
Tyler Kinley came into a game at Coors Field, I just held my breath the entire time he was pitching because you never knew what you were going to get.
yeah,
Sometimes he'd get you out of it, sometimes he'd blow it wide open. And
yeah.
he got to Atlanta and he was their closer for a few weeks.
It's well, I think they have an excellent pitch. I can't remember his name. He looks like Derek Shelton, who's now the Twins manager. He's got the kind of long, wet gray beard. I can't remember his name, but I think he's no longer the pitching coach because with Brian Snicker leaving,
Yeah,
he decided to retire
he
too.
left. Yeah,
I have to look it up later, but no, it's no surprise because look
Rick
at another.
Kranitz.
There you go. I'm sorry. Go ahead and say it again. I think I overtalked you.
Rick Kranitz.
Yes, correct. I'll give you a White Sox example. Chris Sale, he was having injury troubles in Boston after dominating in his first 2 years there. He goes to Atlanta and, has a second life. So there you go.
Oh, yeah.
It happens. So we'll see. But again, with TJ Rumfield, again, 6'5", 225, big, tall guy for first base. He's a lefty as well. He went to Texas Tech. Didn't know that. He's actually also from Virginia. So maybe Brett and Doyle knows him. Maybe they have met at the same training facility. Who knows? We'll find out eventually if TJ does make his debut. So here's something that's encouraging for Rockies fans. Last year in AAA Scranton, for the Yankees, he played in 138 games. He had 16 home runs, 87 RBIs, and he flashed 285, 378, and 447. So that's very encouraging.
It's promising, yeah.
And again, people are saying, well, why is he the 22nd ranked prospect? And let me tell you, ratings with prospects, whether it's within the organization or the top 100, they're very, I say, frivolous. They can fluctuate from time to time, whether who's hot, who's cold, who has a good year, who has a bad year. And just because a guy's a number one prospect doesn't mean he's going to be a superstar. Doesn't mean he's going to become Mike Trout or Shohei Ohtani or Albert Pujols. it's basically even whether you're the top prospect or the last ranked prospect, it's a roll of the dice for various
Yeah.
reasons. So
I
we'll
mean,
just
it
have
kind of
to.
happens the same way with draft picks. I mean, look at Mickey. Mickey is a great example of a number one draft pick that didn't quite pan out there for a while. And again, another guy that a change of scenery did wonders for him.
Mhm.
Coming to Coors Field, I mean, it's like he just settled right in and was an amazing addition. So,
And we can go through countless examples, but those are some of the top of our heads. So, in my personal opinion, this guy, let me see, how long has he been in? How many other times? He was in AAA in 2024. So, he played 114 games in AAA. And people are asking, well, why wasn't he called up? Well, he's been blocked because remember, you had Goldschmidt, you had Rizzo. So the Yankees have had first base covered for the last several years. And with who was it? Who am I thinking of? Ben Rice now basically assuming that position and DJ LeMahieu off the roster. I guess they still didn't have a clear path for him. So we have a clear path for him. Right now, Blaine Krim is the slotted first baseman. The door's open
and
for this
Blaine
kid.
and Blaine Krim did show up yesterday. I posted this on a projection of WRC Plus leaders for rookies.
Well, there you go. So again, this trade specifically, I mean, both trades are fantastic. This one, like I said, this fills a position with need. It would be nice if we could secure first base for the future. This again, knock on wood there. Maybe TJ here. Maybe again, we'll see. This kid, he will be at spring training. That's for sure. It hasn't been officially announced, but I guarantee he's going to be there. So we'll see how he does, and we'll see what Warren and DePodesta have planned for him. I mean, maybe he starts in Albuquerque. Maybe he goes directly to the big leagues. Who knows? We could have our first debut on opening day.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and of course, Yankel Fernandez DFA came post the trade with the Twins yesterday, but again, we already talked about that. So we'll wait to see what decision is made on as far as him. Let me see here. Before we get, and I guess with that said, we can transition to our final segment, which is just wrap up. I suppose spring training is right around the corner. I think it's I think we're less than
2 weeks. Pitchers and catchers report 2 weeks from today. So the Rockies have the pitchers and catchers slated to report on the 12th.
Did anybody? I'm sure some position players are going to show up early. I can already see that.
I think we'll probably see a lot of guys show up early this year. Just from Rockies Fest this weekend, these guys are really excited about this year. Like you could just feel it. Like it was a really good atmosphere to be in, and you could just kind of feel everybody really, like, especially the new guys. Like Jake McCarthy is very excited about this. We actually ended up, he was walking in the same direction we were actually right in front of him as we were going to something else, and I was listening to him talk to the person that was kind of guiding him around everything for the day, and just kind of overhearing their conversation. I won't spill any of his business out, but he's very excited about being here and about how welcoming everybody has been for him, and he's really ready to show what he can do at Coors Field, and which, I mean, he's been pretty good against the Rockies in the past. So I'm excited to see him. These guys are really ready to get after it. So I would not be surprised to see several position players showing up with the pitchers and catchers.
Especially given, like, as you pointed out, again, you and Adam and Steven were around them in Denver's more than I obviously was. And just like, we can talk about, of course, but I think it's true with Warren Schaefer, you have a renewed energy. Not to say Bud had no energy, again, not discerning against his age, or maybe he was worn down, or he was ready for retirement. Whatever the case may be, I think it is true. You can feel it. I mean, you probably could say, being just at FanFest, there's a renewed energy and a renewed sense of optimism, not just with the front office leadership, but with Warren at the helm trying to steer the ship.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Warren, and he preached it over and over and over again, how he wanted more aggressive play, how he wanted these guys to really be fired up. And you saw that spirit of never quit
Mhm.
really, really resonate throughout that team. Even though it still did not turn out well for the majority of the season, you felt a lot more. You could see being at the games when you could see the guys in the dugout, there was a lot more energy in there, even if things were not going well. There was still a lot of spirit in there. Whereas the first part of the season where Bud was still at the helm, um, it just felt dead. Like even watching it on TV when they would show the dugout, it just felt dead. There wasn't a lot of life there. You'd get a couple of good moments um and then it was just right back to flatlined. And once Warren took over, you started to see that change and it progressed throughout the season and everybody was just fighting more. You saw more aggressive base running. You saw a major uptick in the defense. Like everything just kind of turned around. And I think with him being able to lead these guys through spring training this year, you're going to see that fire, you're going to see that energy, it's going to keep up. And it's just really, really exciting to think about, no, it's not going to be, they're not coming out and winning the division this year. I mean, you never know, but
Well,
more than likely, that's not happening. They could pull a worst to first. You never know what's
yeah.
going to happen. But I mean, that's not what people are looking for. But what we're looking to see this year is a positive change. And I think you felt a lot of that and you've heard a lot of a different mindset, more commitment to actually making this happen and making this a competitive ball club. And it's going to take some time to get it there, but I think with Warren leading the charge on this, I think we're going to see a lot more excitement and from the players and in Coors Field and just surrounding this team in general. It feels a lot more exciting.
Well, yeah. I mean, I mean, there is the infamous saying, "We didn't get here overnight. We can't fix it overnight." And I know, as I mentioned earlier in this episode, our patience has been thin for a while. But I think, given I think we talked about this on recent episodes, whether it was Steven, myself, or you or Adam. The fact of the matter is that they had the understanding to switch their brains and think, okay, we need to make leadership changes. And ultimately that started from the top down. So with, I guess, Dick being a background voice, I think this is more churning to a different hopefully a better direction. But again, we have to wait and see what the pastures, what if we get to greener pastures. So I don't want to start tooting the horn too much here, but
And I will say, of course, I don't think anybody saw Dick at Rockies Fest, but I did see
he was there.
Charlie Montfort. Yeah.
Oh,
I did see
was he,
him walking through the halls
wasn't he no, he wasn't slotted to be in the DePodesta press
No,
con
he
sorry,
didn't do any of the Q&As or anything like
oh.
that, but we were walking down the hall and I kind of looked up and I was like, "Wait a minute." And he he was with, he had a large group of people around him, but he
Mm,
was walking through and he was saying hi to people and he was shaking
mm.
hands and I kind of stopped and looked for a second. I was like, that is a Monfort. And so I went and I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, that was Charlie." Okay. Because I thought that was him, but I had to Google and double check myself, but he was there.
Double check the name to the face.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Well,
have
because
to do it every time.
I think it's because we've been seeing Dick for so long that we forget what Charlie looks like. Not to say he's
Yeah.
forgotten. I'm just saying he's just not always been the front facing member of the family.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with his personal situations and stuff like that. But he was there and he was talking to people. So it was good to see one of the Montfort brothers
mhm.
there. Thankfully, it was not the one that nobody wanted to see there.
There
But
would have been I could have
um,
seen some outcries of booze. So
oh yeah, I think that's probably why he stayed away because he knew he wasn't going to get a good reaction. But it was nice to see, and Walker was great in all the Q&As that he did because of course they were broadcasting stuff over the big screen and on TV screens throughout the stadium as it was happening. And I did stop and listen to some of what Walker was saying, and I really I really like his mindset, and I
Mhm.
really like where he's going with this. I think he's made some great decisions. Him and Paul have made some really good choices this offseason as far as bringing these guys in. And Warren even talked about, searching for the right coaching staff and how all of that went. But it was good to feel like these guys were not in the mood to settle for anything this season, that they were going to start attacking right away.
I don't think they're settling ever. I think also given this, I think also given the again, you can take the front facing to what's behind the scenes is what you will, but it would appear that Charlie and Paul Warren are all on the same page as far as what they want to do. I think they also have a shared timeline as far as what they want to get this thing, when they want to turn this thing. The only question is executing on the field. And then once
Yeah.
that's all that's taken care of and they evaluate, okay, he's here, he's set to be here, and they have a set core. Now, I think the one thing I'm looking forward mostly is once they have a set young core in place, how do they go about adding veterans to surround it and improve the team to compete with the Dodgers? Yeah. Because again, one thing is everyone's going to harken about the Chris Bryant. That was a panic signing by Dick Monfort. Let's all be honest here. They let Trevor walk because again, I don't blame him. He wanted to go. And Dick just said, "Oh, I got to sign somebody to draw fans to the ballpark." And so, again, it is. But that's what I'm waiting for. How do they handle free agency once it's time to start opening up the checkbook a little bit?
Yeah, and I think I think spring training is really going to paint. Which, of course, spring training last year, I was rather surprised at what the Rockies were doing in spring training last year. It looked good. Like it was kind of shocking to see spring training versus how the season ended up, how the season started out. Like I didn't expect at all what we were getting. I didn't, of course I didn't expect, a first place team to coming out of spring training, but I did expect a little bit more than what we got. That's for sure.
Well, I think we all would but the one thing is when you go to spring training, because for anybody who hasn't been there, there's always a set schedule for every position as far as what drills are going to be happening, the timings, when lunch is. The day is structured from morning to evening in a set schedule. So I'm very also interested to see how the drills are set. And I know that sounds weird when I say that, but the more structured our spring training is, whether you're a rebuilding or a contending team, that can set the tone as far as how things are going to be handled. Again, and I say that also because this is a new coaching staff, so we're going to see how they handle things.
Mm-hmm.
And also, real quick on Luke, the comment of, I think he did because considering he did play in Arizona for a very long time, especially during some of his better years, he did used to rake at Coors Field. And this reminds me, I did see there was a Instagram, an Arizona Diamondbacks Instagram fan page called Snakes in the Desert. They talked about there's rumors that Paul may go back to Arizona. And I think if he does that, this will be his send off. I think this will be his retirement year if that's the case. If he comes here, that'd be very interesting. I don't know why he would choose to come here, considering I think he want to try one last shot at a ring. But we'll see. I don't know. I think he has one more year left in him, and I think he's going to retire.
Ted says I would trade for Spencer Strider so fast. Oh, I'm not going to lie.
Ted, to answer your question, he does not throw a two-seamer. He does throw a sinker, which is a variation of a two-seam fastball, but he throws his only the main fastball is a four-seamer. And what'd you say? Oh. Are you talking about a trade? I'm just sorry, folks. I'm just scrolling through the comments here, trying to go through this. Oh, Luke, to answer your question, Chivili has 3 pitches. Sorry, if I mispronounce your name, I'm sorry. It's Ol. He throws 4 pitches. I have right here. According to his Baseball Savant page, he throws a 4-seamer, a changeup, cutter, and a curveball. So there's your pitch. There's his pitch arsenal for you. Well, quantity is one thing, but quality is another thing. I would say that this is because you want to have at least 3 pitches you can throw on any count as a reliever. But if you have a 4th pitch, that's always a benefit. Ted, I don't think they're letting Spencer Strider go.
No, they're not. They're not letting him go, but I would 100% be over the moon if Spencer Strider showed up at Coors Field. I am a big fan of him, which of course last season, coming off of that Tommy John, he did struggle quite a bit. Towards the end of the season, he was starting to get that back. So yes, his stock would be, I still don't think I don't think they would sell him off very easily. I think it would take quite a bit to get him to move, or to get the Braves to move him, but because they know what he can do.
Correct. And even he did, I had to refresh my memory. He did pitch 23 games. He did have 23 starts last year. He had 125 and a third innings. Again, he is still part of their future plans. They're not giving up on him yet because he is currently only 27 years old. He's under a 6-year, $75 million contract through 2028 with a team option for 2029. I love it, but he's not going anywhere. Given the fact the Braves have, like they have done with a lot of their stars, locked up to friendly deals for a decent period of time. Yeah. So yeah, he's not going anywhere.
Which those team friendly deals do help when they do decide to unload somebody. It's Alex Anthopoulos is an absolute wizard at somebody. I believe there was a Mets fan one time that said he pays these guys slave wages and locks them in for like 10 years. And he kind of does. I mean, Ronald Acuna is on an insane deal. Like it's wild. But
I would also
you're not getting Spencer Strider.
Given how he's played, you're correct. And also the same thing goes for Ozzy Albies. And Ozzy Albies isn't the level production that Acuna has, but given how much less he's paid, they're being paid below what their production is for sure. But
way below.
But keep in mind, folks, nobody forced them to sign those deals. They made a conscientious decision with themselves, their families, and also their agents. I mean, when you are given a contract like that, your agent, if he's a good agent, he or she is a good agent, they explain, this is what you're going to make. This is what your future earnings could be. And the player makes the decision, because remember, the agent works for the player. So the player makes a decision.
No, and both of those guys have said over and over they took those deals because they wanted to play in Atlanta. And the unfortunate side of that, though, if you really think about it, if you look at the production that they've got and the potential for production that both of those guys have, they are underpaid on that side of things. But when you look at the injuries that both of them have had over the last few years, they're doing pretty good for the limited play that they've had, especially. And poor Ozzy, I feel awful for that guy. He's the happiest little guy on the planet, and I love him. But he has had the worst, just dumb luck injuries over the last couple seasons. I mean, he's broken at least one bone. I believe it was he's broken 1 to 2 bones, either in his hand or in his foot, each of the last 2 years, and it has just taken him out for extended amounts of time, both seasons. And Ronnie, of course, both ACLs have been blown now. Hopefully he's got bionic knees and that won't be something they'll have to worry about anymore. But just the injuries that have plagued, especially the last 2 seasons with that whole team in general. I mean, it was smart to lock these guys up on these super team friendly deals because they have really, unfortunately, not been able to live up to a lot of these contracts just because of injuries alone.
And it's a catch-22 when it comes to signing a young player to those team-friendly deals because, like we said, Acuna and Albies have overproduced the value that the money they're being paid. But I'll give you a flip side example. The White Sox tried to duplicate that with Eloy Jimenez, Luis Robert, and Yoan Moncada. Those 3 had a plethora of injuries, and I've been told several stories about how sometimes Jimenez especially was particularly lazy behind the scenes. So the one thing is, from a business side, it helps you project your payrolls from years out. Say, okay, we're going to pay him this, and that. You don't have to worry about settling arbitration and going through that whole process. And then if the player walks in free agency, and you also have a team option at the end, so you decide if you want to keep him for an extra year. But at the same time, as you and I could definitely point out, whether it's injuries or the player doesn't meet expectations, you have to hope for the best, but be prepared for the absolute worst that it doesn't work out.
Yeah, because in the absolute worst case, you get a Chris Bryant deal.
We unfortunately did not get 2016 MVP Chris Bryant. So
No. And it's sad. I mean, I'm not gonna
no, it's
talk crap on Chris Bryant.
we don't
I
need
think he's a
you go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
he's a good guy and he's got a good heart for baseball, and it's unfortunate what's happened to him. It would be great if they had some way to fix what's wrong with his back and we could get 2016 Chris Bryant, but unfortunately it's just not going to happen.
This is Ted. I think Matt Holliday is. I don't think he has any interest in managing. I think he's committed to working for Oklahoma State at this point.
Hmm.
I believe that's where he's still. I believe he is still working there with his brother. I believe. It's ironic both his sons were committed to play at Oklahoma State, but of course they both have been drafted in the first round of Major League Baseball. And Luke, I'm sure maybe we'd like to hear about this. You have shook Dick Monfort's hand, I guess. Huh?
Was he there too? Was he there? I never saw Dick. I did see Charlie, but I didn't see Dick. Oh,
Okay. Well, Luke, maybe we can hear from you about that. If you want to send Rockies Now a direct message, or Sarah or myself a message, we can talk about that. Because if this was at FanFest, I guess nobody I didn't see anybody post on X say, "Oh, hey, there's Dick Monfort." So
yeah, I never saw him. Of course, the one complaint that I would have about FanFest is they cram so much in. Like it's such a tightly packed schedule that you were really kind of booking it to get everywhere you wanted to go during the day. Um, Especially if you were trying to make it to those Q&A sessions or you had multiple things you wanted to do. A lot of stuff was stacked up.
Mhm.
So we were really kind of going from point A to point B a lot, but I did see Charlie. I never did see Dick. So yeah, if he was there, not a lot of people said anything about it. That's for sure.
And yes, to go back to Spider, yes, Wild, yes, they would lose their minds if they got traded.
Oh,
Yes, Spencer and
yes.
Derek, you can speak to that more personally than I can. So
Yes. Atlanta fans would absolutely burn Truist Park to the ground if Spencer Strider
they
got traded.
I could see a pitchfork and torches moment outside the ballpark. Everybody's coming with their pitchforks
There
and torches.
There would absolutely Alex Anthopoulos would have to leave Atlanta for a very long period of time if he traded Spencer Strider. You've got a whole core of guys that would be the case. If Strider were to get traded, if Austin Riley ever were to leave Atlanta in a trade situation,
Mhm.
um, Ozzy and Ronnie are on that list as well. I think if you saw any of those guys, of course, you do have some because Braves country kind of splits right down the
Mhm.
middle with their opinions on players. Either they absolutely love them or they are absolutely sick of them, and so you would have a pretty good population ready to tear Truist Park down brick by brick if any of those guys were traded.
Well, and so here's the answer to the question. Wild says also I saw Dick early in the morning. Oh, okay.
Oh, maybe he got in there early and then got out
Maybe he got there.
before.
He did like the morning what you call it a morning coffee and then hitched his way out for an early exit. I don't know. Maybe.
That might have he might have. I don't yeah,
Yeah.
because like I said, we went over there just right before 10 because they did have the one Q&A at 9 and then everything else really kind of kicked in at 10 o'clock. So we walked across the street right about 10 o'clock and started doing stuff. So if Dick was in there early, I could kind of see that maybe in the
So,
back. Okay.
Luke, I think I'm assuming you're referring to Dick still. I think he was just walked around, I suppose. And okay, well, if he was there, then maybe he just got there early and made a
So
quick
if
exit.
that must have been what happened. I
Oh,
did see because when they had the coaching staff Q&A and had all the new coaches in there, um, that was when I saw Charlie. He'd kind of popped in for a second and then left.
mhm,
Because that was also when I ran into Drew Goodman, and when I saw Spilly for the first time of the day. I'd been looking for him all over the place,
mhm.
um, but yeah, that was when I saw Charlie was up around that time. But I never did see Dick. But of course, like I said, we didn't go super super early.
Well, I can see for that. I'm not sure who Xavier Yenins is yet. I'll have to learn a little more about him. But as far as Dolander and Doyle, we the Rockies need both of them right now, and they're under control for a while, so I don't see either of them getting traded just yet. And I guess the last comment that we can address here is also so many positions are locked down as of now, question mark. Shortstop, catcher, and center field, question mark. We can go over that real quick. I personally think, yeah, those are three positions. Doyle is going to be in center. Tovar is going to be short. Hunter Goodman will be behind the plate. And I think it's safe to say that Braxton will be backing him up. So there is playing time to me. Another thing that somebody pointed, I of course saw this, White Sox DFA, their third base prospect, Brian Ramos. Somebody suggested we maybe snag him and give Kyle Karros a little competition at third base. That is an option. But there are positions to be won as far as it goes. I mean, like we keep talking about, evaluations with new leadership is being conducted full scale right now at full throttle. So, this is, if a young guy in our system wants to show what they can do, you're going to get the chance at several positions. That is.
Yeah. And I think it's pretty safe to say that the guys that you saw at Rockies Fest, those are guys that are definitely with us for the season, or at least, starting out. Who knows? Somebody could end up getting traded. But it's a good core right now. And there's a lot, and I think you could almost say left field is pretty well locked in with Jordan Beck.
Sure.
Second base is a little bit of a question mark. Like you said, they're showing Ryan Ritter right now. That is a transition for him from shortstop, but of course it was going to be absolutely necessary for him to make that move if he was going to get any big league playing time, because Tovar's not going anywhere. Really, I think the biggest questions are who will be starting in right field opening day and who will be at first base. Third base.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that was it. And third base as well. I think those are really the only positions that are super up in the air right now.
My hot take is I think Freeland will be the opening day starter.
I think so too.
I mean, again, barring something crazy, again, knock on wood, there are no injuries. I mean, Michael Lorenzen's your only other choice. And sure, somebody could throw Dolander out there, but I think it's safe to say he's going to be the number 3 guy in the rotation.
Yeah, I think so. What's really wild to me is, as many games as I've been to at Coors Field, I have never actually been at a game that Kyle Freeland has started.
I have seen him pitch one, two. No, I have not. No, I'm sorry. I thought when I saw the Rockies in Cincinnati in 2019, I thought Kyle was the starter, but no, it was not him. It was actually Chichi Gonzalez. I just remembered. There's a little throwback for everybody.
I always I've seen Herman pitch so many times. And last year, in 24, I saw Cal Quantrill. But it seemed like every time we went, I just missed Freeland like by a day or two in the rotation.
I just remember, when I was in St. Louis, I saw John Gray pitch in 2016. And I just remember I went to, when the Rockies were in Chicago, I went to watch them play the White Sox on the South Side. And I was a day early to watch Kyle Freeland pitch for the Rockies on the Sunday getaway game. I just remembered that.
Yeah.
One more thing.
He has been there that long, though, and I've never seen him pitched.
Well, I think he could be a career Rocky unless, they get a deal that blows their mind. I think he's going to be a career Rocky. I mean, just my opinion. It sounds crazy, but it's not that as crazy as you think. So. I guess one more thing to bring up, we talked about this in the pre-show. I mean, the last thing I could bring up is the new top 100 for the start of the 2026 season came out. The Rockies have 2 prospects in the top 100. That would be Ethan Holiday. He is ranked 24th, and Charlie Condon is ranked number 70. That is the same 2 guys we had ranked in the top 100 at the end of the season. Top 100 rankings. The new team rankings have not come out yet. That'll be coming out in the coming days. No surprise, those 2 are ranked. Those 2 did drop. Condon dropped from 61 to 70, and Holiday dropped from 21 to 24. Again, these rankings change. But I think it's safe to say those are the 2 that are likely. But again, both guys are not close, but not far. Ethan is going to be. I think he'll start in one of the. I think he'll start in high this year, and I think Charlie. I don't know if he'll start in Albuquerque. I think he'll be at Hartford to start the season. What do you have? What do you think?
I think we see Charlie in Albuquerque at some point this
Mhm.
season. I think I agree with you. I don't think he starts there, but I think he will finish the season in Albuquerque. And I could
Mhm.
see Ethan possibly finishing the season in Hartford.
I would agree. I don't. If anybody is thinking, will they make the debut? Ethan, no, he's not making his debut
No.
this year, and I don't think Charlie is either. I think it would behoove the organization to take their time with these two.
I do see Wild says over here that he heard Paul say that Willie Castro will be playing every day. So
Given the fact that they signed him to a 2-year deal, wouldn't surprise me.
the
So
question is just where.
that's the question because yeah, he can play. Yes, wait, no, he can play third base if need be necessary. I think his primary spot is second, but I think again we'll have to see how things shake out because Julian, he is going to be in the running for second base. Freeman could be in the running for second base. Some positions have more depth than others. Some have very little. I mean, yeah, because obviously, luckily, we have Rumfield because we have very little depth at first base. Well, again, Charlie Condon is slotted to be a first baseman in the future, but he's not anywhere near the major leagues right now. So,
Yeah.
yes, that is correct. Wow, one in the top 25, one in the top 75, but two in the top 100. So that's more than I think there's. I can't remember. There's several teams with two. I can't remember all of them. And I think there might just be one team with one. I'd have to look at the rankings again. But it's better than nothing. So, okay. So this has been quite an episode. So as we wrap things up, Sarah, any other fun little stories to tell us from Roxfest, or do you think we have exhausted all those stories at this point?
If you missed the player versus player competition, you missed a really, really fun time. I will say that. If you didn't make it in there, it was Kyle Karros and Chase Dolander versus Chad Bettis and Eric Cook. Great time, really, really funny. They had them playing some kind of goofy games. They had to cut a banana in half and see who got the closest to actually cutting it in half.
With the peel
The
on or
alum
with the peel off?
with the peel on.
Okay.
Chase cut it crosswise. Aaron cut it down the middle, lengthwise. So, of course, the alumni won that one. They had a couple of betting games that were pretty funny. And then, of course, the Whitney Houston beat drop challenge was quite the highlight for everybody. It was a really fun time at that. I kind of chose to go to more of that fun stuff like that. But it was a really good time. So, and they only did one session of that one. So if you missed it, you missed a lot of fun.
Have they ever done? I know I know White Sox Fest used to do this. I think some other teams, Fan Fest, do this too. Did the Rockies ever done like where the players and kids can play against each other in MLB The Show? Do they ever do that, or do they not?
They didn't have it this year for sure. They do, of course, they have a kids only Family Feud at the end of the day, and that was hilarious. That was a really good time. But they do have an area where they've got like games and stuff set up for kids, and the guys are down there playing like foosball and stuff like that with them, having a good time. So they do that kind of stuff, but they did not have MLB The Show set up, but I think that would be really fun. I would want to get in on that though.
Because here's a funny story. When it was when Chris Sale was with the White Sox, he was one of the players playing against kids in MLB The Show. And there was one where the kid was playing as the White Sox. Chris Sale was playing against some other team. I can't remember who it was. The kid was using Chris Sale as his starting pitcher. Chris Sale hits a home run in the game, and Chris Sale goes, "Is it ironically weird that I just hit a home run off myself?" So you get funny little moments like that when you. But
yeah, the Braves do that too.
Oh gosh. Oh god, it's just those fan fests are fun. They can be enjoyable, of course, and there was a period where the White Sox did not hold the Fan Fest for several years, both not due to several years during COVID and then after COVID. But it's fun when these things happen as we lead into spring training, which, as you pointed out, we're only 2 weeks away. So
yes, I'm ready for it.
Salt River, and then of course the first game. Is it 2 or 2.5 weeks in? I think I
Uh,
have to look. I don't remember how long we have to
I
wait.
believe it's February 20th. Give me 1 second and I'll double
Okay,
check
sure.
that
Sure, no
because
problem.
I was actually looking at stuff. By the way, if you did the fan survey at the end of the season last year, make sure you check your email for your redemption code for 4 free tickets to a Rockies game. I got mine locked in
There you go.
yesterday.
Got to make sure you check your emails, even though you get even check your spam folder sometimes too.
Scottsdale, Arizona, February 20th against the Diamondbacks is the first spring training game.
Of course, the Diamondbacks. Well, at least it's not the
Yes.
Dodgers. At least it's not the Dodgers. And luckily, we do not lead off our season against the Dodgers in LA, so we can be there for the stupid trophy ring ceremony.
Oh, yes. I don't care to see that at all.
I want to vomit in my mouth a little bit over that. It's just, and then of course we have to deal with all the news stories saying, are the Dodgers going to be the first three-peat since the Yankees in 98, 99, 2000? Just wait for those stories to start coming out.
Oh, they already are.
Oh,
We're going to hear it all season.
Oh, I know it's inevitable, but it's just, again, it's like, but then again, it's like, it's 29 versus 1. Can we all work together to stop them and prevent history? So, but
it really is. I saw somebody post something at this point in time, the All-Star game should just be a team of AL and NL All-Stars against the Dodgers, because that's really kind of what it feels like. But I mean, I think it's part of that feels kind of fun though when you do beat that team. Like when you win against that team, it feels it's very satisfying to beat that payroll, really.
Especially it would be, imagine the drama that this creates. Let's humor me for a second. If the Dodgers win the pennant again, they make it to the World Series, regardless of who the opponent is, whether it's the Blue Jays, the Yankees, name a team, name an American League team. And then it goes to Game 7 again. And then we're back and forth, and we're all sitting on the edge of your seat thinking, oh my God, is this going to really happen again? Are we really going to be put through this much stress again? It's just, oh God, I don't want to think about it, but again, it could happen. So, but also the one last thing I want to make sure is also we'll be talking about as it comes closer. The WBC is coming up. As mentioned, Willie Castro is going to play for Puerto Rico. I don't believe any other Rockies players are playing at the moment, but we'll have to wait and see. But I personally am looking forward to that because the United States team, again, Aaron Judge is the cover athlete for MLB The Show 26. He is a two-time cover athlete this time. Again, last time he was 2018. After he won Rookie of the Year and just missed out an MVP in 2017. Altuve, of course, was the winner of that. So we shall wait and see. But yeah, again, that'll come closer before that will happen just for reference during spring training. So Castro and other players will depart and then they'll meet up again just before the season starts. And we will see how that plays out. I got, people can disagree with me or not, but I believe that final at bat between Ohtani and Trout, even though Ohtani did win, it was still quite a moment seeing those two.
That was off. I'm not a huge fan of the WBC because, as I've said before, it's not fun for me to watch some poor construction worker from Turkey get shelled by the United States or anything like that, and or some with Mason Miller on Team USA this time, some poor guy from Canada that is, doing whatever for his day job has got to go up against 104. Like that is not fun for me, but I did watch kind of later on when it was the more, more of the teams that had a lot of MLB representation on them. And that was probably one of the coolest things to see was Trout versus Ohtani there at the end. That you could not have ended that in a better way.
Well, especially considering the magnitude of the moment, because the U.S. was down by 1 and there was a runner on. So if one big swing by Trout, U.S. wins. So that's, again, people downplay it. But again, the magnitude of the moment, and you can say what you want about where Trout is now because of injuries, but at the time, still, those two are two of the best players to ever play the game. There's no debate about those two. And again, they were still teammates at the time, so they had yet to face each other in a game, in a live game situation. They had never faced each other. And again,
Yeah, and
I have to give Trout credit given what was on his shoulders. He was the captain. The spotlight was on him. And again, Otani is just ridiculous, an insane individual as a pitcher and a hitter, but he did a good job hanging in there. I mean, he let a number of close pitches go, including that very close fastball just on the outside part of the strike zone. He did a great job. He just got beat on two fastballs and a slider.
Yeah, and that was something, when you look at these other countries and stuff, Spilly brought this up during the kids Q&A, because he has, Spilly's played overseas as well, and just the way that they train, like, you see here, little league and stuff like that looks a little bit different than it does over there. Like they're training like they are about to go up against Mike Trout every single day over there. But I mean, the Japanese players are just they're different over there. It's a different game over there for sure.
Well, some of them, there was a profile done before Otani came to the United States. Well, even going back as far, remember when Ichiro came to America, there was so much hype around him. He lived up to it. And then ever since then, I remember always people talking about the big game when you go over and scout in Japan was, let's find the next Ichiro. And so when you have guys, well, even before, it was Matsui. Matsui made his debut before or after Ichiro. Oh, I can't remember. Oh my goodness, why am I drawing a blank? Well, again, Hideki Matsui was another profile player for the Yankees. And then you had Daisuke Matsusaka, Kosuke Fukudome, Kodai Senga, and the list goes on with so many players that have come and gone. But again, over there, the Japanese, they're professional leagues. They don't take no joke, and their training is rigorous over there because it's a culture difference between America and Japan, where the whole society setup is very different, and from a social standpoint, that it is pretty intense what they do over, which for the better, because but again, the one big difference is the baseballs are a little different. The laces are tighter over here in America, whereas they're a little looser in Japan. So there's just a slight difference when it comes to that aspect of it. But
Wild says he's going to the WBC again this year. He's been to the last two as well.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I will not downplay like how cool the whole concept of it is. The pool play part of it just really doesn't do anything for me. It's not really until you start getting towards the end of it that I start getting invested.
Well, it's the same thing for a lot of people when it comes to the World Cup, because it's the same structure. You have pool play. Then when the top two teams advance to the bracket, then that's when things start getting interesting. And, more of those non-extreme country fans start getting more invested. So I get that part of it. I mean, when it comes to that, I understand where you're coming from completely. And so, well, Wild, if you are going again, enjoy. And I think, are the finals again in Miami this year? I believe. I think they are.
I have no idea.
I have to look up. Either way, if you're going to be in the finals, enjoy that. That should be quite a spectacle. So, Ted, the baseballs are just different, as I just explained. They're not dead. They're just a little bit different as far as how they race. But like I said, there's going to be a lot of Japanese players coming this year. I mean, I'm excited to see Murakami with the White Sox, and then you had the new pitcher for the Astros. Am I missing anybody? Oh, well, Roki Sasaki, he came last year, but I don't know what the Dodgers' plan is for him, but who cares either way. We'll see how. We don't want to talk Dodgers too much on this podcast. We're a Rockies podcast.
Yeah, that was a little confusing that they went and got Edwin Diaz when Sasaki kind of seemed to settle into that closer role.
It's, how do I say this? How do I say this without, I don't want to swear on this podcast. They basically, with what they're doing with not just him, but with Kyle Tucker, they're basically giving the middle finger to the rest of baseball and saying, we're going to do what we want to do, and we're not breaking any rules. So, middle finger to you guys, come and get us.
Yeah.
And again, I don't want to swear on this podcast, or do that, but it's just like, okay, like, Steve Cohen, who's the richest single individual person owner, doesn't want to resign him. Well, then, Andrew Friedman went to his ownership group and said, hey, what do you think? And then they said, here's the checkbook, Andrew, enjoy. So,
yeah.
But, he's a small market minded GM working in a big, large market. Just like I think he and Alex Anthopoulos are the two best GMs in all of baseball. So for different reasons. So
Alex is amazing. And people that, of course, it kind of felt like it bit the Braves this last season, a lack of activity in the last couple of years. But I mean, when
Thank you,
you've
Wow,
got
for reminding me. Real quick,
all
Wow,
those,
thank you. Yes, in Miami. Thank you, Wow, for reminding me.
okay.
Oh, anyway,
Yeah.
sorry.
Alex, I think Alex is an absolute wizard. Like, I really do. A lot of people have been upset with him for the lack of moves the last couple of seasons. Of course, the Braves have been very active this off season.
Mhm.
But I really, and there's been a few times where I'm like, they did what? Like, he did what? Why did they go get that person? But for something about that organization, they just have a knack for turning guys around.
Not to mention also that, I mean, smart teams, you could say, also know how to make the right bets on reclamation projects, but also they understand even when you have a successfully well-crafted team at the major league level, you're still churning good prospects in the minor league system. You're still focusing on player development. In the event you have to let a guy go, or you have to trade a guy away, or a guy gets injured, you're ready to back that person. For example, when they acquired Sean Murphy from the Athletics, and then he's having injury troubles, then Drake Baldwin wins Rookie of the Year this past year. So
Drake Baldwin has been so much fun to watch. He really, really has.
Because again, and that's critical for them because this is my opinion, catcher is the most important defensive position on the baseball field.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, so we'll see as far as that goes. So, I guess any other stories from Rockies Fest, or do you think, because again, so I'm sorry, folks, this is quite a lengthy podcast. We do a lengthy episode. We do appreciate the participation from all you in the comment section. We try to get to as many, if not all, as we can during the entire episode. So that's going to wrap things up for us here on this episode of the Rockies Now podcast. Again, if you do not already, please follow us on right there at the bottom, Instagram, X, and our Threads page. We do have weekly episodes, so we'll be back again next Thursday for episode 103 of the Rockies Now podcast. So again, thank you everybody for tuning in. On behalf of Sarah and myself, Adam and Stephen, who are not here, have a good night. Go Rockies.